Welcome to West Virginia and Commonplace. Today, I'm your host, JR, like always. And something amazing has happened in the last few weeks. Inside of podcasting, I decided to do things different from the way that I was doing the structure of collaborating with people, just like with Frankly Francisco podcast and with Galaxy of Film. Collaboration is more deeper than just doing an episode with someone and you getting support from them and getting support back from them. Those type of podcasts I do like. The podcasts I do not like, I don't like podcasts when I do a show with you and you don't show support. You let it hang dry and you let the episode go. You know who you are. You know why you did whatever you did. Personal business. Not none of mine. I don't care. But collaborating in podcasting has to be more than just an episode. Promotion and advertisement are two things that get lost in translation in podcasting. Advertising is a one-way communication. That's me making the meme or post on Canva or whatever I'm doing and me posting it, and the audience grabs it. Promotion is me sending you that Canva promotion, or you actually taking the time to make a Canva promotion or do something to elevate what we have going on, and we both promote it across all of our platforms. Then I pass it along to my colleagues or my affiliates or my friends, whatever different group is in the mood to entertain promoting what I'm doing. That's collaboration right there. What's not a collaboration is me doing the artwork, me taking the time to put in extra voiceovers, blah blah blah, and all this extra stuff. That is not a collaboration. That is something that just it's kind of weird, but I'm going to say this like a child. It's a little unfair. But off that notion, let's talk about deeper collaborations, because people always want to talk about niche down into your podcast, assert yourself with a certain group of people and keep doing that. I disagree with that. I disagree with that notion. You can niche down and have your podcast focus solely on what you want it to, but the people you collaborate with need to be people that you have fun with, people that understand business and understand advertising and a promotional side of what you are doing. The problem in podcasting is that people get too tied up into this thing, which this episode is actually entitled. It's entitled "No Appeal." This podcast is called "No Appeal," and the thing with appeal is you can have a great subject going on, and I'm talking about you could have content that moves people and does this, and that for one episode. You can go 7 episodes and not have that same feeling. You can go 20, 30, 40, 50 million episodes depending on the volume of what you put out. And I'm not telling anyone, and I'm not knocking anyone that does volumes of work, because quantity can equal quality to some people. But just being honest from a standpoint of where I'm coming from, not from anyone else. And like I said, if you get offended, you know how to turn the volume down or switch to another episode that we have. But appeal has 2 categories, in my opinion. And that's a general appeal, and then there's a mass appeal. General appeal is what I would strive for, because a general appeal, that means that maybe not every episode I make is going to reach everybody, but in a roundabout way, if I put out 16 episodes in a month, or even 8 episodes, out of 8 episodes, 4 of those episodes are going to reach different target audiences and bring me in a group of people that are going to have a perspective like, hey, I like what he did here. I'm listening to what he did here, and this is a little different. It's not necessarily what I like, but it's pulling me in. That's general appeal. Mass appeal is something that people, in my opinion, they kind of get mixed up. Mass appeal is fine, but mass appeal is kind of like being trendy. I can have mass appeal and everybody approves of what I do, and I got to keep a constant heavy trend going all the time to keep that mass appeal. But a general appeal, to me, is more achievable because of this. Mass appeal, you have to have a top product continuously, and nobody is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan doesn't even know his own formula. So that's one thing I want podcasters in the medium tier, low tier, whatever tier you are in podcasting to stop doing. Stop basing your success on what the other person does, but base your content on the appeal system of general appeal or mass appeal. If you can get mass appeal with what you're doing, then that's amazing. If you can't, you need to have a general appeal. And to define this, because gurus do not define this for you, and this is something I had a conversation with a podcaster today at a convention, and he kind of broke it down to me, and it made sense to me because I never thought of it this way. Appeal, on a general level, is saying that there's 14 people in the room. 8 of those people I can target. 6 of those people are not going to agree with what I have going on, and they're not going to listen. But over time, I may have an episode that they may want to listen to. Now, out of that 14 people, 11 people gives you mass appeal. That means it's 11 people that's going to listen currently to whatever you're doing right now. And even though you're missing those 3 people have enough opinion to say, hey, I will not listen to what you have, period. And from that strong opinion there, mass appeal over time, from that 3, it'll grow to 6. It'll grow to 9. It'll grow to you having a lower number and you pod fading, because that mass appeal is something that you have to have a very high octane episode. You can't just do 87 gas episodes. You got to have 93 continuously when you're doing this. And to be honest with everyone, if you're doing this as a hobby, if you're doing this to make money, regardless, you are going to put out good content, but you're not going to always put out the greatest content every time, because you can't measure the perception of someone else. Nobody can tell you how to do that. Nobody can make any example for you to even fathom this, because I can't tell you the formula to make a great episode. I know that the content I like and the content that my listeners like, I try to adhere to what they like. I don't try to go out here and do just some random crazy stuff. I listen to what they say, and I factor it in and see what I can do here, what I can place here, what strategically matches. And not every podcast has to do that. Some podcasts just have a natural flow of things that have a continued set format that they don't need to do that. So you podcasts, I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to the podcaster that's out here every week trying to get new guests for their show. And, you know, you go from life coach to swimming coach to wrestling coach. Then you go to X-Men comic book enthusiast. It's got to be a certain balance in between there. It should have not necessarily a sequence, but it should have rhyme or reason to what you're doing. When you get that rhyme or reason, that's where your appeal comes to people, because then the person that likes comic books and knows that I'm doing these heavy Huntington Comic Con, whatever Comic Con I'm doing pop culture, just like when me and Stacy did the episode of Porco Rosso. That's a very famous anime movie. Not necessarily her cup of tea, not necessarily my cup of tea. But it has an appeal to an audience that I have not reached in a long time. The last time I did an episode was someone that's ventured into animation, into anime. So I want that audience still to engage in what I do. So that's where a general appeal comes in. Mass appeal would be me going on and doing the whole Robotech series, doing Star Wars, doing random anime stuff that just keeps going on, and just not, just thinking about that anime void, not thinking about the people that watch Grey's Anatomy when I throw in my subtle things for Grey's Anatomy, just like the episodes that I do on relationship issues that are generalized. Like I said, I always said I would never do a relationship podcast, but certain things that happen inside relationships, like the hows and whens and whys and why nots, those are the type of things that I like to cover. So those are things that I do, but I do them very vaguely, so that romantic rom-com audience comes back. So you see, I'm showing you general appeal right there. And this is not anything to sell as knowledge or to pass on. This is just general consensus on having sequencing inside of podcasting. Another thing that I picked up on today that has kind of thrown me in a loop and why I'm doing this extra episode, hopefully it comes out in 2023 or whenever this episode release, is this. When you're out here and you're podcasting and you affiliate yourself with a bunch of different podcasts, actually make the podcast that you affiliate with work in your favor, like network. There was a man that writes comics. He just does nothing but strictly writes the comics. But he has a whole publishing brand with him. One guy from one vendor said, hey, this guy does my writing. I do this guy's coloring. I do this guy's artwork. So you can go hand in hand with someone, like for instance, podcast-wise, say like a production guy. I'm not going to name any names, but we know the normal production guy from Virginia. If you go to him, he can produce your episode, and you could come to somebody like me. I write episodes if you don't have that kind of content. And it's kind of like getting an episode ghostwritten, but I noticed that at this Comic-Con, I was learning a lot of how people, even though they don't get the front page success and stuff, all of the success comes together when it's all in completion. So it's no longer an issue of like just sitting back and being like, oh, I'm going to pod fade or I'm going to stop podcasting because I can't come up with material. There's a vast network of people that are willing to work and to help people. But if you don't collaborate in the narrative of actually making a network out of podcasters, because it's podcasters listening to podcasters, so why not podcasters help each other and figure a way, to broaden your spectrum in podcasting and to get more business savvy? Because this whole network, and Stacy's my witness to this, we've seen them go completely around the table. Every person had their hand, she's looking at me funny, every person literally had their hand inside of that comic book realm. It was like was it about 4 different displays, Stacy? It was quite a few of them that literally, like, they all worked together, and this guy was talking very highly about everybody that was involved. So that's one thing to think of right there. And on a lasting note, you can always catch us over at wvuncommonplace.com. If you have consultant needs, hit the consultant tab. If you want to join the mailing list, we definitely appreciate any listener that would love to join that. In the near future, Stacy has some upcoming things that are going to be coming up with her. So we'll have some information about her Shopify and Etsy store and all that other stuff when all that stuff comes about. So definitely get prepared for that. We do still do limited run on merchandise. If you see something you like, head over to our website and look at the merchandise. We do have different designs, so feel free to DM me about those designs. I should be posting more up on the website as soon as I get some more designs out there and made and stuff like that, because we'll be doing some stuff. We're almost through the summertime. I think we might bring back one more of the retro shirts from last year, and then we'll move on to something else in the fall. But other than that, thank you for listening to West Virginia Commonplace, and I'm glad this was your stop for listening for a podcast, and I hope you listen on any platform that works for you, because you listening on that platform works for us, and I am signing off.